Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your hosts of That Startup Show, Ray Johnston and Benjamin Law.
Welcome to That Startup Show. I'm Ray Johnston and I'm joined again by Benjamin Law to answer the questions that tech entrepreneurs are just too scared to ask.
Or to up themselves to ask, more likely.
Oh, that's a bit rude.
I respectfully withdraw the remark. Anyway, you were the one who called them scared.
We're both terrible people. Tonight, it's co-founders and scaling culture as we look at whether hell really is other people.
And if robots take all our jobs, will we get to experience robot hell from Futurama? Because that could be worth it.
Remember, Ben, hell is always better in cartoon. Now, in the case of no robot takeover, you have to establish a culture, like a SCOBY for your entrepreneurial kombucha.
Ooh, which reminds me, have we planned a kombucha episode? Can someone make a note of that, please?
Culture isn't easy to get right, though. For instance, 20 years ago, a lot of founders thought that corporate culture meant rave culture.
And now you know what really went wrong with MySpace.
These days, companies employ culture officers, sort of like the director on a cruise ship. They book entertainment, arrange meals, and hope there isn't an outbreak of dysentery.
And now you know what really went wrong with MySpace. I think the most important thing is to allow people to have impressive job titles, like, say, social inspirementation guru. They publish your blog updates.
Or chief refuse ninja. That's the cleaning person. Where did all the recycling go? Ninja skills.
So make sure you employ an executive vice president of workplace resource identity nomenclature assignation, who's the person in charge of coming up with these moronic job titles.
I am happy to take that job if it's available. Of course, the culture is set by the co-founders, the parents, if you like, of the company, because founding a company together is like a marriage.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Ray, at least not until we've had some sort of postal plebiscite to determine if that's actually okay.
Yeah, fair call. But finding a co-founder can be like a weird dating scene. Deciding someone isn't the right culture fit is the same as breaking up with them and saying, it's not you, it's my entrepreneurial SCOBY.
You really should have saved that joke for the kombucha episode.
Let's just focus on getting through this one, mate. Jeez, co-founders.
You said it.
Now, dear viewer, we know that you're multi-screeners, or at least 2 tabs on the browser, so please feel free to tweet us at TSU Show or use the hashtag #ThatStartupShow.
I can read that at the bottom of the screen, but it's backwards.
That's only because we're inside the screen.
It's freaky.
Tonight, we've got a couple of giants of the corporate culture world with us, but unfortunately, we've forgotten their chairs again.
Yes, this always happens. So to distract you in the meantime from continuity errors, let's cross to tonight's audience correspondent, Kirsteene KP Phelan from Rome to Rio, who's going to try to answer one of the big questions for co-founders.
Thanks very much, Ben and Ray. So I have 2 co-founders here tonight who are going to talk about their business, because we all know that while it's really difficult to find a co-founder, it's also extremely difficult to find a great name. Guys, what is it that you do?
So we have a drone delivery business, don't we?
Yes, we deliver people's laundry with drones.
That sounds like a pretty great market to get into. I know there's a market at my house for getting into actually doing the laundry. So if you could work on that, that would be really great. So what you really need is a name that's unique. You need a name that is not very dirty. You also need a name that is global. Is that correct? Great, excellent. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to work with our brilliant audience here on crowdsourcing a new name for this team, and it's in a little game that we like to call Taken or Not. And we're going to choose the domain name, and if it's available, that's going to be a new name. How do you feel about that? It's a bit of a crapshoot, right?
Right, it'd be great.
Well, I'm pretty excited, so we're going to get on with that. So back to you, pair of cool Ray-Bans.
Thanks, KP. And KP's segment tonight is brought to us by our friends at .co, the domain name of choice for innovators, startup founders and entrepreneurs looking to reach global markets.
You really sound like you've done that before.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ben. That startup show is authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra, spoken by our Johnston.
Now it's time to meet our panel of experts who are going to offer advice to us lesser mortals on getting our human and post-human resources mixed right.
Our first guest is the co-founder of Finder.com, Australia's biggest comparison site. And I know that because naturally I used it to compare it to other comparison sites. He's an author, commentator, mentor, and has just launched a cryptocurrency brokerage, HiveX.com. Please welcome Fred Schebesta.
G'day, Fred. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Our second guest is a Chief People Officer at Envato. And if you don't know what a Chief People Officer is, it's like a CEO who isn't a sociopath. She's building a culture of inclusiveness within a global company of over 400 employees. Please welcome Michelle Ridsdale.
Now, folks, before we get to scaling culture in a company, let's go back to the start. I want to know, what should you look for in a co-founder? Is it a case of opposites attract? Are you looking for someone with a complementary skill set? Or should you be after a near clone that sees things exactly the same way as you do all the time?
Me personally, my co-founder Frank, he's like the complete opposite to me. He doesn't dye his hair. He doesn't look like a rock star. He looks very conservative, and he's he's the yin to my yang. So we don't have to cross over in any way. We do separate things all day, and the way we got to choosing each other, I guess, was we lived with each other for 2.5 years, made like almost no money, and we rented a house like there was an Airbnb, but there was no Airbnb back then. So we had 21 people through the house in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Oh.
So that's a good entrepreneur.
Sure.
So with Fred, Michelle, it really sounds like a case of opposites attract. What about you when it comes to looking for co-founders?
Well, given I work with Collis and Cyan, co-founders of Envato, they're very different. So you've had Cyan on the show before. Collis is quite different to Cyan, but they talk about, being married, and therefore they've ironed out a lot of their challenges of being co-founders. I think diversity of thought's really important when you're in a co-founding relationship. So.
There you go. Okay, so we are going to play a little game now, and it's called Co-founder or Cult Leader.
An inspirational quote, and you have to tell us if that was from a tech person or a cult leader. And we do acknowledge that there's a Venn diagram overlap there. But first, let's test our buzzers. Fred?
All right.
And Michelle? Okay, that is a sexy one.
Okay.
I like the orange.
Really?
I know, I've got...
I like this one.
It matches my top.
Everyone's very, very happy with their buzzers. This is starting off well. Okay, the first quote. A man's got to make at least one better day, else he could be walking around lucky and never know it. Was that Matthew Tripp of Sportsbet or the Reverend Jim Jones of the People's Temple?
Do I buzz in?
The sports bet guy.
That quote was from Jim Jones. He's also responsible for the phrase, drink the Kool-Aid, which he not only probably never said, but is quite a brutal piece of brand damage. Next quote. I never thought I was normal, never tried to be normal. Was that David Shing, digital prophet of AOL, or psychopathic cult leader Charles Manson?
I'm going to go Charles Manson.
David Shing is who reckons he's not normal. He is the digital prophet at AOL. Unfortunately, he didn't foresee that no one would use AOL anymore. Though, who knows, it could come back like the vinyl revival. You know, ping, you've got hipster mail. Might be a thing. Look, next quote. If you can find something you're really passionate about, whether you're a man or a woman, comes a lot less into play. Was that Marissa Mayer, CEO of Yahoo, or Anne Hamilton Byrne, leader of Melbourne cult The Family? This is a tough one, is it?
I don't even want to go for it.
It's really just a stab in the dark.
You go.
I'm going to go with Marissa Mayer.
Okay.
I'm just guessing.
That was Marissa Mayer from Yahoo. Well done. I mean, I was wondering whether Yahoo still did anything, so I Googled it. And there's your answer. Okay. Boldness in itself is genius. Was that quote from Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, or L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology?
I go Scientology.
You did it before the buzzer.
Sorry.
I'm sure they both believed it.
I'm going to go with Scientology.
Yeah. Look, they both believed it, I'm sure, but the cult leader that we are after is L. Ron Hubbard. Though he may have been quoting Xenu, the alien dictator of the Galactic Confederacy. It's always hard to tell. Okay, final quote. If you're not doing some things that are crazy, then you're doing the wrong things. Was that Google's Larry Page or Heaven's Gate's Marshall Applewhite?
Marshall Applewhite.
Okay. That was cult leader of Google, Larry Page. While checking his Google Plus circles on his Google Glass. That's the end of the game. Time to check the scores. Apparently the Boston Celtics won.
I guess it must be time for the pitch ring.
Welcome to the pitch ring, where we're going to meet three keen entrepreneurs who are going to lull you with their words into making you want to give them money. It's like an evil hypnotist contest.
Tonight's winner will not only go into our season grand finale with a chance to win huge prizes, but will also take home the coveted prize, which proves they are the Australian version of the unicorn, the Uniroo. And if you think your kids are painful, try carrying a horned joey around in your pouch all day.
Tonight we've selected three real startups to pitch their companies to the panel.
They'll be judging the ideas on originality, marketability, scalability, and whether the Australian government will randomly give them $500 million to protect the Great Barrier Reef.
And if you don't know that story, Google it and write to your local MP. The rules are simple. Rule number 1, you have 2 minutes. Rule number 2, at 30 seconds to go, you'll hear this sound. Rule number 3, your pitch can't involve replacing anyone at this desk with a robot or otherwise. The panel will have an opportunity to give feedback after each pitch.
Our first pitcher gained inspiration for his business working in a newsagent before moving onto the online space, where a browser is not just someone who you ask to buy the magazine or leave. Please welcome Patrick Gaskin.
We live in a world of digital overload, billions of mindless tweets, status updates, and way too many emails. We believe that the sensory satisfaction of receiving real physical mail, handwritten physical mail, is undeniable. It's something you open, you touch, and you often keep. Hi, my name's Patrick, and I'm from Cardly. Cardly.net lets people handwrite and doodle inside beautiful greeting cards like this one that I'm struggling to open, and cards that are designed by amazing independent artists from all around the world. We then print and post the cards for them from Sydney, London or New York. We've built proprietary technology that takes what people type and makes it look like real human handwriting, and they can even add personalised doodles to the card to make it even more personable. We also allow people to schedule cards, so you can schedule the perfect birthday card or anniversary card that you really shouldn't forget up to 12 months in advance. We use amazing and the latest and greatest digital printing technology, and really fine stocks to produce a super high quality card for just $6.45, including postage. Cardly is also now being used by businesses, especially those that are looking to create greater engagement with their customer base. And we've found and proven that that engagement is 10 times more than direct mail. The beauty of our platform is how scalable it is and how easy it is to use. And for businesses, it's really powerful. They can even transcribe their own handwriting and convert their own handwriting and actually type in their own handwriting on our cards. And we've got a templating tool that allows you to write the perfect thank you card, welcome card, what have you, and send it to your entire database as easily as sending an email. So anyway, that's a bit about Cardly. We're really passionate about creating meaningful connection, and we're doing that with the power of personalised handwritten mail. So go and check it out. Go to cardly.net. Father's Day is quickly approaching. It's on September 2, so you could go now and schedule the perfect card and help out an independent artist while you're there. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Michelle, you've heard the pitch. Do you have any questions for Patrick?
I guess in terms of culture, how are you planning to look at your culture of your business as you grow and make it, something that people want to come and work there?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's about people believing in what we believe in, and what we believe in is about that connection. So I suppose I go to my own roots in corporate life. Like, I used to work for Samsung. We were selling people things maybe they didn't really need, the new phone. What we're really about is connection. So we're allowing people to connect in a really meaningful way. So we want that same culture to be in our work environment. And, our independent artists that we work with and stuff like that, we reward them generously. We're about giving back as well to that community. So having that sort of worldview of contributing and connecting, and that's the kind of culture we want.
Thanks, Patrick. Any questions from you, Fred?
It's cool. I dig it. You're making cards.
Yep.
It reminds me of that movie Her.
It is a bit like that.
Yeah, it's a bit creepy.
Yeah.
I like it. But what's to stop Vistaprint or Hallmark putting two developers and replicating what you do?
So it's proprietary. It's something that we've built from scratch ourselves. It took us a long time to build something that's as powerful as this. We've got patented stuff around that. There's a speed to market issue there. We've got to move faster than that. I suppose the old defensibility thing comes in. Have we got as big a, deeper pockets as those guys to defend ourselves? But we believe we can move faster. And partnerships with those types of businesses actually makes more sense. They can white label our technology and embed our technology. And we've got APIs that enable it to be embedded, so that's kind of be easier for them than going it alone, possibly.
And how scalable is it? Like $6.45? What is it? $2 to send a letter these days?
It's $1.
$1, right?
Australia, yeah.
It's 2018, right?
Yeah.
You're in the future.
I am from the future. 5 years. So there's $1. That's $5.45 left.
Yep.
Like, how much margin is in this?
20% goes to the artists, and 30% comes to us, and the rest goes to printing and postage.
So 30%, so you're taking, what? $1.50 a card.
Yeah, a little bit more than that, but yeah, about that.
And that's after marketing and all the other expenses right now?
Yeah,
Printing.
we've actually not spent a whole heap on marketing. We've kind of seen 15% month-on-month organic growth. But partnerships is part of this as well. We're talking to some fairly big players in this space, and they can leverage our technology, and there'll be more of a licensing type arrangement with them, or if they're taking advantage of us still printing and sending. So if it's in a marketing automation play, for example, so if you want to add to your flow the ability to send out something physically that's handwritten, we can do that, and we clip a ticket, and they sort of sit as intermediary between us.
So my thing on this is your business sounds to me like it's a custom, unique use case, because we're not sending more letters anymore, we're sending less.
Yeah.
Right, so it's people who uniquely want to customly do something special. They're like, oh my God, let's send a card to someone. That's like me sending a telegram to someone in like 10 years' time, right? It's just not going to be a thing.
Well,
but realistically, right? which is going to be cool.
Yep.
So what's the bigger play here? What is the bigger, where do you chunk up to become what is the bigger business here? We're not seeing, because every business has a bigger business inside.
I mean, there's a $15 billion greeting card industry that's in existence now between the US, UK and Australia where we operate. So it's not nothing. But the bigger play is the direct mail play, which is still also large. And there's a lot of smarts coming into that space. So triggering a piece of mail to re-engage part of your database, right, when email's no longer working, is actually could be quite cost effective. So we're not just doing cards, we'll eventually be doing postcards, letters, and some form factors that are a lot cheaper for the market to take advantage at scale. But the beauty of it is that the open rates, because they receive something that looks handwritten, hand stamped, is really powerful. So that's the bit that we're tapping into. We're allowing people to, cut through, still use this, it's just a cleverer marketing tool, potentially. But for the consumer, we think there's still plenty of potential. People still want to create, that meaningful engagement. There's a juxtaposition, I believe, at the moment where people want the ability to communicate really easily, Facebook and all the rest of it, and that's really instantaneous, but they want it to be a bit more meaningful than that. They want to show that they've actually cared. This actually doesn't take a whole lot longer to create than a Facebook post, but you can make something that's, it's beautiful and it's well made, and someone will keep it because you've written something amazing in it and, made it really personable.
So I'm an old school direct marketer. I love this stuff.
Yep.
I used to put tea bags in letters and send people and say, have a cup of coffee with me, or a cup of tea, have a meeting with me. I love this stuff.
Yep.
Two things. One, I think it might be best to immediately go for a subscription. I love the subscription idea because $5.45 is, as much as you think it's big margin now, over time that's going to be tough because just prices go up, right?
As we get greater scale and volume, that will increase to 50% pretty quickly.
Right. I still think subscription is where it's at, like a one-off card, like acquiring that customer to get that mass, I think it's going to be challenging.
Well, that's why we have the scheduling, so you can schedule your card.
I think it's great. Put your credit card in.
And you can, we can set reminders and all that sort of stuff. So the lifetime value of a customer now is not a single card, it's already 3-4 cards.
So the second business I think you have inside yourself potentially that maybe I was looking for is maybe you have a data company. Because you know when everyone's birthday is. That's super creepy.
Super
sounds
creepy.
like Zuckerberg. Are you the next Zuckerberg, man?
No.
Oh no! Quick, let's please applaud for Patrick before we find out he's an evil social media future person.
Okay, it's time to see whether our new audience's drone company is ready for launch. Where are they at, KP?
Okay, so we've been working with the audience to choose the great name, and what we're going to do now is find out if those domain names are taken or not. So I'm going to work with my assistant here to find out what's available. So the first one on the list is dronedelivery.com. Let's find out. Taken. Okay, well, let's try something else. How about deliverdrone.com? Oh my goodness, that one's taken too. All right, I love this one and I hope this one is going to come true. What about gameofdrones.com? Nothing, taken. Okay, this game's getting pretty hard. All right, what about, we tried this one, drone.com. Nothing, taken. Okay, well, we are going to have to focus perhaps on the delivery, the laundry aspect. So what about flywash.com? Oh, taken! Are you kidding me? There is literally just not one idea left in the world that hasn't been taken by someone. So it looks like we're going to have more work to do here. So it's back to you, Ray-Benz.
Thanks, KP. We'll check back with you later. You're watching That Startup Show, and I'm watching the YouTube Meerkat videos on my laptop. It's on a record player.
Our second picture has created an alternative to dating apps, and I actually invented an alternative to dating apps too. It's called eating chips on the couch in my pajamas. Please welcome Meray Azar.
My name's Meray and I'm the founder of EpicXperiences.co. It's a service-based app that simply finds you someone to go out with based on the experiences you'd like to share. For example, bar hop tours, food and wine, festivals, or even to watch a movie. You see, I started it because at the age of 30, I thought I had it all. Amazing career, kick-ass friends that love to party and go out, and then all of this started to change as they started getting married and having children, and I was still single. Fast forward a few months and I felt so lonely and isolated, I didn't know if it was ever going to end. And then I met someone at a networking event and I asked her if she would come along to see the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, and then I followed with, but I'm not a lesbian, but do you want to come with me? And she said yes, we had an awesome weekend away, and now we've been friends ever since, and that's where the idea of Epic Experiences came into play. You see, you simply choose your experience, find a small group or an individual, and then you let us take care of the rest, so ticketing and booking, and then you chat, you rock up and everything's done for you. It's as simple as that. We have over 2,000 members in Melbourne alone and weekly bookings. We're looking to raise our first round, and oh, and by the way, I now have lots of epic friends. Some of them are in the audience, and life is beautiful and I'm so happy and it's just amazing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Meray. Fred, do you have any questions?
So, how does the app make money?
Sure. So we're a B2B business. So we work with exclusive business partners here in Melbourne at the moment. And what we do is we work with them to create curated events and we allow our members to enjoy them. So think of it as a way of connecting two people together or a group and driving traffic into a business and increasing their footfall.
Thanks,
So
Meray.
they pay you a commission?
Yeah, so we take a clip of the ticket.
What about you, Michelle?
What sort of talent are you hiring to run the app?
So we've got a CTO, he's in the audience today. I've got a designer that we work with as well. We use quite a lot of freelancers. University students and interns have been phenomenal in the support that they've been able to provide. So we do try and be quite as resourceful as we can because we're currently bootstrapping, but Andrew and I work together as closely as we can, and I'm on it full time. Bootstrap to the hilt.
I've got a quick question for you. So you've talked about directing people towards events basically situated at a third party. I've got a lot of friends that want to play Dungeons and Dragons but can't find anyone that in their 30s has time to sit down and play. Could community members themselves actually meet up and organise things that are like that?
That's exactly right. In fact, we've already started kind of experimenting with allocating epic curators. And our epic curators are people that have enjoyed multiple experiences with us already. We've identified them to be the type of person that could host an event.
Thank you so much. Could you please join us in thanking Meray?
Okay, it's time to chat with Fred and Michelle about the huge world of working with our fellow humans and humanoids. Fred, you're good at finding things. What's the best way to find a co-founder? Is it some sort of meetup app, or is it better to approach someone in person at a hackathon or a pitch night or a LAN party, or do you just do it with your brother?
You know, I think you've got to go through some crucible or some challenge together. So whether that's, on an adventure together or, you go through school together, that's kind of tough. You can live together. If you can live together, it tends to work pretty well. Going to university and struggling through something. I think there's some sort of struggle, and then you bond together. And those people that you bond together during that struggle, and you go and win that struggle, that tends to, for me, be the crucible moments.
Now, Michelle, Envato has built this really great reputation as being a fantastic place for women, and it's won the coolest company for women to work 3 years running. So what are your co-founders' secrets there? Does it come down to the culture that you set up right from the start?
The founders really set very strong core values from the very beginning, and they really do live and breathe those values. You hear about them all the time, and all their decisions are aligned to those values. And I think that's really helped to grow a really great place to work.
So how did Envato especially become great for women, and in what ways specifically is it great for women to work at?
Well, I think all of our diversity approaches and policies, parental leave and those sorts of things really help. But it's not just about the benefits, it's about the type of work they get to do, the flexibility. So Envato is very flexible. You can work from home, you can work from cafes, you can work from anywhere around the world for a period of time. And I think that really helps for women, especially women coming back from parental leave, and if you've got kids, like many of us have, it helps us to get kids to school and go to the important things. So.
Nice. So you've got this culture, but you've become a billion-dollar company, a Uniroo. How do you keep the integrity of your culture as you scale, particularly if it happens quickly?
I think you have to be very careful as you scale, that you don't, Collis often talks about it as a fish tank. You don't change all the water at once or you'll kill all the fish.
I like that
and
analogy.
It's a nice analogy,
yeah.
right? But it's just really important that you keep your values and culture in mind as you're hiring people, so the assessment piece, and all of your policies are fair, and that you keep that sort of consistent. Envato is very fair, so we often, if we're changing anything, we really think about our values and fair go before we change anything within our culture. So.
Fred, there's a lot of conversation about culture fit and, ascribing values to your company or business of, people that you want, people fulfilling certain prerequisites. But how do you make sure that that culture fit doesn't actively exclude certain types of people?
Well, I would actually want to exclude certain types of people
Sure.
From Finder, because...
Like who?
Well, I just think there are people who, they don't really want to... If you just want a job, there are plenty of companies that will give you a job. And at Finder, that's not the culture that we have. We have an aspiring culture where people... our fifth value at Finder is called master your craft. And that's a dedication to continuously improving yourself. And certain people, they don't want to do that. They have other things in their life. They're not there to continuously improve and master the work that they do. And if you don't have that inside you, then yeah, we try and I don't think it's going to work. You're going to have not a very nice time at Finder. So I guess we try and test those values, like Michelle was saying, in the recruitment stage, and we just help people have a better job, because they align to our values, and that's the environment it is.
I heard you agreeing there. Does that fly with you?
That's right. Yeah, yeah, same with us. Yeah.
Now, company perks, they can be a big draw card to some employees. I want to know some of the best perks that you've ever heard of, and also some disasters. I'm talking broken limbs on slides in offices that they shouldn't exist in.
We're not insinuating any slides, are we? No. Any companies with slides? I don't know, our policy of work from anywhere around the world is a huge draw card for a lot of people. So I'd say
Does
that's
it ever
a really...
become a liability?
Look, I think it is up to the managers to really manage the output of work while you're working from anywhere. So it can be, particularly if you go and work from somewhere and don't have the right Wi-Fi, or the time zone is really crazy, then it can be a liability as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And we don't have a slide, so...
Well, what about you, Fred?
Well, for us, I think what we're really mindful of is that those kind of perks and those kind of things like that, that's not culture. Like having free yoga classes and dogs at work, that's not culture. Culture is how your crew acts when you're not watching. That's the culture of the company, right? So for me, what I think all those slides and fun attractions and all those kind of things, actually, what I think all those companies have them for is to actually, people who have, I guess, left the company, but they keep them on gardening leave, they're the ones on the slides and the fun machines, because they're just keeping them around. They turn up every day and that's what they do, because they need to retain the talent so they don't go to competitors. Yeah. So we don't have things like that, we don't. But one of the things we did put in recently was showers, and we're really big on exercise. There's a really crazy, I guess, running club at Finder. I just think they're very competitive people, that's why. But they run much harder than I realized. You know, they run little half marathons every weekend.
It does sound like yoga with dogs would fit in right there, though.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. No dogs at Finder.
Oh.
And folks, finally, how is technology changing employment and also changing this conversation? To what extent is what we're talking about going to be redundant when the robots come for our jobs anyway? Will they come for our jobs, or will there always be roles for people in this discussion about culture fit and otherwise?
I think there's going to be always a role for that human-to-human insight piece. So I don't think the robots can ever take away, you know, that sort of insight piece.
Depends how good we make them.
That's true. And I think with technology is only going to help us do our roles better. You'll still need people to program these robots in and make sure that they have the right empathy. You know, it's not just about robots and automation. I think there's still a place for that human-to-human contact.
And that there are some things that you can't automate.
That's right. I think psychology and those sorts of things.
I disagree. I think you can get a robot to do everything eventually, but it's not going to be distributed like we think ubiquitously. It's going to be only some people who have enough money will have a robot that works for them. It's not actually going to be fair. Unfortunately, the internet's not fair. There's like 10 websites with most of the traffic. It's just the way that the humans evolved from lobsters, and which has a natural hierarchy, and that's unfortunately the way resources get distributed. And I think it will happen, but it won't be everyone will have a robot that works for them.
Incredible. Thank you, Fred and Michelle. We will be back soon with our third pitch, and our panel will decide on the winner. But first, here's everyone's favourite Alan Jones with another timeless bedtime story.
Oh, hello, I didn't see you there. You know, even when you're famous, it's important to remember that it's still all about the little people. I've got a story about little people. Would you like to hear it? It's called The Elves and the Shoe Retailers. Once upon a time, there was an online shoe retailer who was struggling to meet demand. Shoes were piling up that needed to be shipped, and they didn't have the staff to get them out on time. Then the next morning, the CEO came in and saw that all the shoes were gone. How is this possible, she asked herself. Then the head of HR explained that he had found a loophole in the employment regulations that allowed them to employ elves and forced them to work under much worse conditions, since technically they weren't human. In fact, they found that they had excess capacity, and so they began starting to hire elves to work in other industries, successfully marketing elf-serve checkouts to bricks and mortar supermarkets and elf-driving cars to taxi companies to allow them to lay off their unionised workforce. Soon they even found that they could replace service industry jobs. Blue-collar and white-collar workers alike were pushed out by the pointy green collar with a bell on the end of the worker. Once they had their curly-toed boot in the door, they were impossible to do without. Tech visionaries started to warn about the total implosion of the labour market, the elfimation of the industry, and the subjugation of mankind. Fortunately, elves started to buy smartphones, and once they started watching YouTube and sharing elfies, their productivity totally collapsed, to the point where they were too distracted to enslave humanity. The moral of the story is that we have nothing to fear from AI as long as we give it the ability to procrastinate. The end. Now, little startups, it's time for bed. And remember, not sleeping is another thing the robots do better than you. Good night.
Our next pitcher is working in the field of chatbots. I remember the early chatbots. They'd ask you if they could help you and then badgered you for an upgrade. I miss Clippy though.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do. Please welcome Dean Cvetkoski.
Hey guys, I hope you're all well. I'm Dean from Vesuvio, and I ran a marketing agency for 3 years, and I sold it off earlier this year and put my 100% full attention into Vesuvio. And I saw a really big potential there, and I thought, you know what, this is a really big shift, and I need to harness the potential here before I lose out. And a little bit about Vesuvio. So I mean, it sounds pretty simple. We build chatbots, but nothing that's really cliche like a lot of other people do. There's a lot of chatbot builders out there, but none of them are really innovative about what they do, and they throw around a lot of really fancy buzzwords like AI and machine learning. And the thing is, though, is that they're not actually making those things useful. And so we really look at what's out there that we can actually make useful and solve real-world problems. Part of what we have done, which is a recent media release that we've done, was actually for the cab industry. So there was an article that was published about a lot of pressure on the taxi industry that also involved mental health and self-inflicted, obviously things too. And so we really thought about that one, and we thought, let's build something that may be a solution for that as well. So on Messenger, we actually have the ability to book a cab in less than 10 seconds. So that's just one example that we've done to be able to help assist in that sort of field. There's a lot of other use cases as well. In summary, really, we're looking for strategic partnerships, people like business consultants, marketing agencies, things like that, that are really going to help drive the business for all those bread and butter jobs in between. That's really going to help us to scale the business and keep it running.
Thank you, Dean. Michelle, let's start with you. What questions do you have for Dean about Vesuvio?
Well, I guess in terms of your growth, hiring talent to help you build chatbots is probably going to be a challenge. Have you got a plan for your hiring growth?
Our growth right now has been phenomenal. So we actually built out a chatbot in 24 hours that was better than the one that New South Wales Transport spent $40,000 on. And
with how many people?
It was just me and my business partner at the time. And to say the least, it was very overwhelming over the weekend that we actually released that. We've reached over 150,000 people. And not only in Australia, but internationally. So local councils over in the UK and Europe, as well as a lot of enterprise businesses here in Sydney and Australia and in Melbourne as well. So we can say that we've actually, and being completely honest, and I believe that it's always good to help sort of other people help as well. We're underwater at the moment because we're growing faster than we can facilitate.
Wow, that's awesome.
Is that something that you hear a bit sometimes? That growth sometimes supersedes to the point where you do struggle with catching up?
Definitely.
That's right. I think growing faster than you can hire is going to be a real challenge in this space, I think.
Absolutely.
What about you, Fred? Any questions about Vesuvio?
So, I don't really get it. So there's like Siri, there's like Google, blah, blah. Like, what exactly are you doing?
Let's differentiate. So Google and Siri, they're more of voice assistants. If you went and asked Siri right now and said, Siri, what time do I need to catch the train to catch my flight on time? It's not going to have any idea what to say. It's going to be really confused and it's going to say, here's some results I found from the internet, right? So with a chatbot, I mean, you can't just build a chatbot that's suddenly all the way intelligent. Like these things, you have to sort of program them. As much as there is machine learning and it sort of, learns itself, there is still a component of being able to teach it something. So teaching it something, you can't teach it the world of knowledge. You have to teach it a specific purpose. So say, for example, in finder.com, you would want to be able to go and have a category that people can search from. And you can, at some point, we're already working on it, a voice model to be able to talk to a chatbot, whether it be through Alexa or even your Google Home, and ask it specific questions about finder.com, which will then provide a response based on that, and also via, obviously, in dialogue in a messaging platform as well.
So do users go to this, they download it and they want to use it? Like who's the customer and
The
who's
great
buying?
thing about this is that it's not actually taking up real estate on your phone. A lot of people have this idea of, let's build an app. The thing is though, is that, I mean, I've seen plenty of people out there that have had great publicity. And the thing is that they build an app and they get 1,000 downloads because someone either doesn't use it, they uninstall it, these kinds of things. They kind of just fade away. It ends up being just, real estate on your phone. That being said, to build something, for example, on Facebook Messenger or something that was already included on your website as a separate platform, more so Messenger really than anything else, what you're creating is an accessible platform that the world already has. So it means that you can build out, for example, like a dating app or, buying a card. You can actually go and build that out in Messenger and automate that process just as if you were to download an app anyway. So to have that kind of ability, it means that I don't have to go sign up and then verify my email, confirm my credit card details, because I've already got a Facebook profile. It just allows me to be able to go and say, I want to access this service and I want it now. It's pretty much on demand, more on demand than what you could from an on-demand service.
Incredible. Would you please thank Dean, everybody?
Okay, while our judges knock their heads together to try to find a winner, it's time to see whether our new audience-based company is ready for launch. Where are they at, KP?
Thanks, Ben. Well, as it turns out, the domain space is pretty crowded, and our drone delivery service were getting to the point where they thought that maybe they weren't going to get a domain name. But what they've decided to do is go back to basics, and they've gone to .co to get their domain name. And we tried flywash.co, and as it turns out, it's now taken by these guys. Well done, guys. So .co is the domain provider of choice for startups and founders. So it's been a really great outcome for them, and it's really great to see it launch. So back to you, Ray and Ben.
Thanks, KP. Okay, so it's time to find out who's partnered with us for a spot in the finale. So, team, who has pitched their way to a Uniroo?
So after careful consideration, we think this business has a lot of real-term, now potential, and lots of people are going to use it. But we do think in the future it's going to need to pivot into something else, and we thought the winner would be
Patrick from Cardley. Congratulations.
Well done, Patrick. Congratulations, Patrick. You're now in the running to compete in the grand finale, where you could win some allegedly big prizes, so we've heard.
That is all we have time for. Please thank our pitchers and our panel, Fred Schebesta and Michelle Ridsdale.
And next week, we're going south, and not in the good way. At what point does a startup become a shutdown? See you then.
Dean, how did you feel about your pitch tonight? Was it scary?
I think we did really, really well for what it was. And when I say we, I mean us as a team over at Vesuvio. We're all working together to make sure that everything gets done, in a way that we can, in the best way we can.
What's next for your business?
We've got lots and lots of exciting events coming up. So definitely sign up to EpicXperiences.co.
What do you think is next for your business?
It's about scaling. So we've just got to go, to the point that the guys made. We've got to go fast. Our technology is unique now, but we need to go as quickly as possible to take advantage of the opportunities that we've got, and we've got a heap. It's about making it happen. So fast, fast, fast.